Well, 2017 is almost over and it's time to rank the top 10 horror films of the year. Let's do this. What's up, guys? It's time for another ranking video. If you remember, myself and Cody Leach, we've done a couple ranking videos together. We released them at the same time, and Cody came to me with this idea. He's like, hey, let's do this again. Let's talk about the top 10 horror movies of the year. This is a great idea. I think this sounds like a lot of fun. There was so much good horror this year, some not so good horror, but that's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna release this video, and at the same time, you're gonna see a video from Cody. You're also gonna see another video from another Stream partner, Bryan Lomax. So when you get done with this ranking, click on the card to do Cody's, and then click on the card to do Bryan Lomax's, and kind of compare the lists. Because I got a feeling there's gonna be a lot of differences in our lists. There was a lot of good horror movies this year. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. My number 10 is gonna be The Ice Cream Truck. The Ice Cream Truck is one of those independent films. I was actually sent a screener of it, and I do those sometimes when I have time. And this one really just jumped out at me, so I thought I'd check it out. And I wasn't disappointed. Some might say it's polarizing. There are people that just do not like this movie at all. But for me, I think I was just really sucked into the main character, played by Deanna Russo. I found her so interesting. There was just this like inner struggle with her throughout this whole movie because she is a mother of, middle schoolers, and she's going through this kind of midlife crisis type deal. But it's also a slasher movie. You get this really interesting killer, the ice cream truck guy. You don't really know anything about him other than he likes to kill people with his ice cream scooper. But I honestly enjoyed this one. It really left me thinking at the end of it. And also, I have to thank Megan Frills Johnson and the crew for sending me this DVD and that signed poster back there. That was freaking awesome. But this movie is definitely worth your time. I really enjoyed it. One of the best of 2017 in my book. Number 9 is gonna be the return of M. Night Shyamalan, Split. Split, I thought, was as good as M. Night Shyamalan's early stuff, like Signs and The Sixth Sense. It's every bit as good. And that huge twist, which is what we always get with M. Night's movies, was brilliant. That this was actually a sequel or a spinoff to Unbreakable. That last scene, I had chill bumps just going down my spine. I couldn't believe it. And what was interesting is when I watched it in the theater, I'd say half the audience didn't even know what was going on. But I wanted to jump out of my seat. It was awesome. But James McAvoy, have to mention him. His performance in this movie, I thought was Oscar worthy. Just amazing to pull off that many different personalities. Okay, number 8 is gonna be Annabelle Creation. After the first Annabelle, which was very lackluster, I actually watched that one after this one. Didn't hate it, but Creation is so much better. I think one thing that worked for this one so much was that all these characters I thought were much stronger than the first Annabelle movie. And you didn't see that much of the doll, actually. They had just the right amount, and it was creepy as hell. But I have to applaud director David Sandberg for focusing on characters before the scares. And Annabelle Creation, I thought, was great, and it revitalized this franchise. I would love to see another Annabelle movie if directed properly. Number 7, boy, Stephen King was on a roll this year. I gotta go with Geralds Game. Geralds Game is one of those Netflix movies that really just knocked my socks off. It's one of those horror movies that's just in one location, and I think if done right, those are really effective. Carla Gugino spends the entire movie handcuffed to a bed, and her performance in this I thought was amazing. You know, there's quite a few tender moments where she just has to break down. She goes through this whirlwind of emotions, and then other times she's in just complete danger. But I was rooting for her this whole time, wanted her to get out of this mess. Just the premise of this I thought was so interesting. This couple, they're just trying to rekindle their marriage, and then this thing just turns horribly wrong. Number 6 is gonna be It Comes at Night. What is it about movies that start with it that I always end up loving? It Comes at Night was a breath of fresh air, actually. This was another one of those movies where it's like in this cabin. You don't really know what the time frame is, but you know that there's this disease or this plague that's kind of inhabited the earth, And really at its core, It Comes at Night is about paranoia. It reminded me of movies like The Thing, where the characters, they're not 100% sure what's out there, but they know that it's dangerous. And I love movies like this because it gives us a chance to focus on the characters and how they're going to react to all this danger out there, because they really don't know what the hell's going on. And so they turn on each other and it gets crazy. It's a survival story. But this one was directed very well. And of course, I have to mention Joel Edgerton, who just gets better and better and better. His movie The Gift was amazing, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what roles he does in the future. It seems like he's really being selective with his roles lately. Number 5, let's have some fun. This is gonna be The Babysitter. Netflix was really on a roll this year with horror. The Babysitter was so fun. That's the one word that I can't not use when it comes to The Babysitter. Samara Weaving was an instant horror icon in this movie. The first half, they build this great relationship with her and the kid, and then the second half really just goes in a completely different direction. You think she's gonna protect this kid through the whole thing, but then, you know, she's part of a demonic cult, and of course she just wants to kill everybody. But in the second half, you find out that she's in a demonic cult, and the kid sees what's going on, so she's not having it. But I couldn't believe McG actually directed this thing. The guy really does a great job with horror, actually, and I'd love to see him do more horror movies or horror comedies. But this was, I think, the best horror comedy of the year. Had such a blast with it. Number 4, now we're getting down to the cream of the crop. I'll say these next 4 movies, for me, were like Trapped on an Island movies. Number 4 is gonna be The Devil's Candy. I'm a big metalhead, and when you can mix metal with horror, all the better. And this one does it, but it's intense as hell. You have this great relationship between Ethan Embry and his daughter, and really the premise of this is that the devil himself wants children. That's what he wants throughout the whole movie. It's insane. And the devil, he plays this metal guitar, and it's awesome. And they kind of weave like metal guitar throughout the score, throughout this movie, and I couldn't get enough of it, really. But as far as intensity goes, I think this was one of the most intense movies of the year. And I love good intensity with horror movies. Number 3, now I might be a little biased here because I'm such a huge fan of the franchise, but it's gonna be Alien Covenant. I know a lot of people did not like Alien Covenant at all. And I think a big part of that is because they were not fans of Prometheus, or where they were going with Prometheus. Prometheus is one of my favorite movies of the last 10 years. I loved the new direction of the franchise. I didn't really want to go in the same direction that we always see with these alien movies. I wanted something new and fresh, and to delve into the space jockey and all that, I thought was great. Alien Covenant, I thought, added a little bit more to the plate. Yes, it didn't focus on the space jockey, which was another problem that I constantly heard, but it really showed like the beginnings of the xenomorph, how the xenomorph was made, and how David, played by Michael Fassbender, tied into all that. Now, you could say that the xenomorph looked a little bit too CGI, but to me, the xenomorph wasn't like the main purpose of the movie. But they had plenty of them by the end of the movie, and I really loved it. Alien Covenant was great. After I watched it again, I thought I was gonna like it less because of all the complaints about it. I loved it even more. Number 2 is gonna be another great surprise, Raw. This was a movie that there was a lot of buzz about, I remember, for quite a few months. And when I finally saw it, it did not disappoint. I'm not the biggest fan of cannibalism movies, but this one really wasn't that to me. This was more about kind of a coming of age story. The relationship between these two sisters was the core of it, and this really unique idea involving cannibalism throughout. A lot of times movies about cannibalism can really just be disgusting, and I'm not a big fan of like disgusting horror, like Human Centipede. But to me, like I said, this was just filmed beautifully. Very unique movie, and I loved the hell out of it. It made my number 2. For a long time, it was my number 1, actually. But at the end, it was actually kind of sad. So to me, it was one of the most emotional horror movies of the year. And now finally, my number 1 is gonna be It. Wow. This movie knocked my socks off. I have never even seen the original miniseries. I plan on watching it sometime soon. But this movie works so well for a couple reasons. First off, the relationship between all the kids in this movie. It reminded me of like the Goonies and Stand By Me. The relationships between these kids was just so strong. And then, of course, Bill Skarsgård's version of Pennywise I thought was creepy as hell. And it really sets the tone in that first sewer scene when you see the kid and Pennywise just completely gnaws his arm off. And from that scene, you knew where this movie was going to go, how dangerous Pennywise was. And I love that last, we all float down here scene. A very interesting horror movie, and it made the top of my list, and I can't wait to see it again, actually. So that's it, guys. That is my top 10 horror movies of the year. Stay tuned for my top 5 worst movies of the year, and me, Cody, and Bryan are going to be doing that as well. So in the comments now, post your top 10 of the year. Looking forward to hearing them. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of different lists down there. Also, come over to Killer Flicks, where we talk horror all day and every day, and on Fridays we'll do Free For All Fridays. Follow me at Drumdums on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, and now Stardust. If you like what I'm doing, hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and Drumdum out.